From glory and the heights, angels and the heavenly hosts, sun, moon, and stars, and planets in their courses, let all created things praise you, O God. From the depths of the earth to the clouds in the sky, whales and all things that swim in the sea, fire and rain, snow and mist, and the four winds that obey your word, let all created things praise you, O God. Mountains and hills, valleys and vast plains, rivers and streams, flowers and trees, plants and animals that mirror the divine. Let all created things praise you, O God. Rulers and judges of the earth, children and elders, men and women of every race and culture, let all created things praise you, O God. Your sublimity and splendor transcend the heavens and the earth, and yet in love you humble yourself to walk among us, revealing your true nature for all to see. Let all created things praise you, O God. So please remain standing as we sing our opening hymns. As we sing, if you'd like to come forward and light a candle on the altar in memory of someone, in honor of someone, or just to remind us all that God's light shines every day.
Well, good morning. We are in that in-between stage, aren't we? Between the old year and the new year, kind of like the two faces. One looks back and one looks forward. Today we're going to look at ornaments. I don't know about you, but soon I'll be taking down my tree with all my ornaments. And there's a part of me that's like, Christmas is over, yay. And then there's another part of me that's like, oh, I have to wait a whole year before we do Christmas again. So there's that duality, right? So I brought some ornaments that are my favorites. And there's this one that is a man with a saw. And the reason I like it, you can look at this, is because of the friend that gave it to me. He's very special, and every time I put it on the tree, I think of Dave. And then this one I like that I bought, but I like the colors, and I like that it's made out of cotton and fun. And then there's this one from 1994 that my girlfriend Debbie gave me when we moved into a house. And so she gave me this to celebrate that move into the house, which long gone from that place. But still, it brings back happy memories. And then another one is from South Africa, when I studied there. So when I put this up, I have all those wonderful memories of that experience, right? You probably have some similar ornaments that give you joy from the people that gave you the ornaments, and then the experiences of what they represent. Well, I brought you this little tree. And I bought these little tiny ornaments from Paddington Station on sale. So yesterday. And so you're going to get to pick an ornament of your choice to take home. And so when you put this ornament on next year, you'll think of our church, right? And that'll be a good memory for you. So you can go ahead and pick which one you want. Now, the thing about ornaments, in this tree here, my favorite ones on this tree are the white snowflakes that were made out of coffee filters of ours. And then the kids all cut them up and put them on the tree. So I see coffee filters as well as snowflakes. But yeah, so we'll be taking that down eventually, soon. And the tree, is from Linda Bailey's property, so we're thankful for that. But, in your own life, I'm talking to you three, but everybody, what do ornaments represent for you? Can you think of them? They represent decorations, yes. Can you think of what they represent, Ben? Anything?
Like memories. It might remind you of something.
Memories. Yes, good. Symbols. So today's sermon that our Randy Miller is going to be giving, he talks a lot about ornaments and the ornaments in our lives that are not maybe a physical thing that are only put up on trees once a year, but the ornaments in our life all the time. So I'll tell you about the sermon because I heard it last sermon at the 9 o'clock service, but we're going to go downstairs and we have an art project to do.
Well, good morning, and it's good to be with you today. My name is Randy Miller. I come from Medford, that far distance down here, and I am a good friend of, what was that guy's name that was here last week? Well, you know, somewhere he said that in a year from now you're going to all forget his name, but it only took me about a week or so, and it's good to be with you. And Fred is a dear colleague of mine, and I am thankful and grateful for how you treated him over the last couple years. Well done. Yes, today Nancy has spoken about ornaments. You'll see that the title of the sermon today is Christmas Ornaments, Ghosts from Christmas Past. And in my mind, I was thinking about the kind of ornaments that we decorate our lives with. And I was thinking about the ornaments that we have, not only on trees, but the adornments by which we place around during this season as memories of stories from behind, memories from years gone by, that we sometimes, oh, I remember this nativity set. It was given by a good friend of mine 15 years ago. And I set it out every year because it's so dear to my heart. And those are kind of the way that we use ornaments. But we also use ornaments to remind, there are other ornaments in a worship service that by which we remember the stories of our lives and those sweet, loving stories that inhabit us and haunt us over time. So today, we're going to look at ornaments. Now, a lot of preachers will be linear in their sermons, linear in the sense that there'll be 3 points in a poem, and there'll be an ending. There will be an ending, but it's not linear. Today, I'd like to suggest that we're going to be moving in a mosaic that seeks to discover where Jesus shows up in our life together. Maybe you've already heard Jesus show up. Jesus showed up for me when we listened to All Creatures of Our God and King earlier today. And Jesus shows up in most unusual ways. As he did that we've just celebrated his birth, he comes not in the nature of God that I would come as if I were God. If I came as God, I'd come fully grown, mighty and strong. But Jesus comes as a little infant, a baby, vulnerable, which really is God's story, isn't it? So today I would invite you to think about how Jesus shows up today and in this season. Where does Jesus show up in your life? So one ornament, besides the ornaments that Nancy was talking about, is another ornament that I'd like to share with you. It is by it's by a priest, John Shea, who is from Chicago area, and it's found in Dennis Johnson's book on remembering that it happened once. And it is a prayer, Sharon's Christmas prayer. She was 5, and she was sure of the facts and recited them with slow solemnity, convinced every word was revelation. She said they were so poor and they only had peanut butter and jelly sandwiches to eat. And they went a long way from home without getting lost. And the lady rode a donkey, and the man walked beside her, and the baby was inside the lady. They had to stay in a stable with an ox and an ass. But the three rich men found them because a star lighted the roof. And shepherds came, and you could pet the sheep, but you couldn't feed them. And the baby was born. And do you know who he was? And her quarter-size eyes became silver dollars. The baby was God. And she jumped in the air, and she whirled around and dove into the sofa and buried her head under a cushion, which is the only proper response to the good news of the incarnation. Let's hang another ornament for us in worship today. Taken from the New National Baptist Hymnal, and copyrighted in 1923. The song is called Rise Up, Rise Up, Shepherd, and Follow. And this was an ornament that has decorated my life. Last year I discovered it, and I wanted to share it with you. But when you play a ukulele, you don't sing solo. I will sing solo to teach you the song, but ukuleles are best accompanied with lots of voices. So I would want to encourage you to, after you learn the song, to join in with me. And Rob and Charlie and others have already kind of picked up some of this, so it's not difficult. But you'll find it in your bulletin. A Christmas Carol from the African American tradition. And the chorus goes like this. Follow, follow, rise up, shepherd, and follow. Follow the star of Bethlehem. Rise up, shepherd, and follow. Not too hard, huh? Join me. A star in the east on Christmas morn. Rise up, shepherd, and follow. It will lead to the place where the Savior is born. Rise up, shepherd, and follow. Chorus. Rise up, shepherd, and follow. Follow the star of Bethlehem. Rise up, shepherd, and follow. Leave your sheep and leave your lambs. Rise up, shepherd, and follow. Leave your flocks and leave your lambs. Rise up, shepherd, and if you take good heed of the angel's word, rise up, shepherd, and follow. You forget your flocks did you rise up, shepherd, and follow? Follow, rise up, shepherd, and follow. Right, death, blood, rise up, shepherd, and follow. Rise up, shepherd, and follow. Rise up, shepherd, and follow. Well, that's another ornament for you to hold on to. So the question is, has Jesus showed up for you today? Already? Oh, he has. Yay! Yeah, Jesus shows up in most unexpected ways. And so the text today out of the gospel, which is another ornament that we use, these stories out of the gospel are ornaments that shape our lives, that we remember, we hold on to them. And this is a most peculiar ornament for the Christmas season. And as I saw it, because I strive to stay in the lectionary, when I found this text, I thought, is this a Christmas story? And what kind of story would this be at Christmas? So let me set the table a little bit before reading the text. In Rob Bell's 2005 book called Velvet Elvis, he describes a common educational system of first century Israel. Whether this is accurate or not, even your former interim pastor challenged me on it. So I don't know if it is accurate or not, but it makes sense to me, and I think at least I will walk you down this path and let you see if it makes sense to you. In the first after 5 years of age, the boys in first century Israel, they begin to learn how to read the Torah. They go to a local synagogue, and in those first 5 years of education, from 5 until 10, they spend their time reading and memorizing the Torah. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. All of it. Imagine that. Memorized. And those who are gifted students, then if they've memorized all of the Torah, then they move to the next level. And those that were not as gifted, they often get sent back to their families to learn the family trade, the family business. Those students, those young people will often become fishermen. They think of Andrew and Peter, and James and John. They tried, but they got sent. They just couldn't memorize all of the Torah, so they got sent back to Zebedee and others, Jonah, to learn the family trade. Those that have excelled in this, they go to the next level of education, Bet Talmud, which is the house of study. Around age 10 or so. And in this period of time, they then begin to memorize the Psalms. And they memorize the wisdom literature. And they memorize the prophets. And then they're also introduced into this fascinating work that is common among, within the Jewish rabbinical schools, of learning the art of asking questions. And it's not common for the Western way. Education in the Western way is that the teacher asks the questions and the students respond. But in Judaism, the rabbis would ask a question, and then the student would ask another question, and they would just kind of circle around. And the point of this kind of questioning is to go deeper and deeper until they can discover the truth of a matter. And that's how we come here today. The text in my Bible says the boy in the temple. But the truth of the matter is Jesus is not a boy anymore at 12 years of age. But something has happened. He has gone into the temple. So let's hear the text. Out of Luke chapter 2, verses 41 through 52. Now every year, his parents went to Jerusalem for the festival of Passover. And when he was 12 years old, they went up as usual for the festival. When the festival was ended, they started to return, and the boy Jesus stayed behind in Jerusalem. But his parents didn't know it. Assuming that he was with a group of travelers, they went a day's journey, and then they started to look for him among their friends and relatives. And they did not find him. When they did not find him, they returned to Jerusalem to search for him. And after 3 days, they found him in the temple, sitting among the teachers and the elders, listening to them and asking them questions. And all who heard him were amazed at his understanding and his answers. His parents saw him, and they were astonished, and his mother said to him, "Child, why have you treated us like this? Look, your father and I have been searching for you with great anxiety." And he said to them, "Why were you searching for me? Did you not know?" That was the first question. Why were you searching for me? He's already practicing his rabbinical ways. Why were you searching for me? And then the second question, did you not know that I would be in my Father's house? But they did not understand what he had said to them. And he went down with them, and he came to Nazareth, and he was obedient to them. His mother treasured all of these things in her heart. And Jesus increased in wisdom and in years, and in divine human favor. So I hang this out as an ornament from our tradition that has come down to us through the Gospel of Luke to tell us that this is the end of the childhood part of the story of Jesus. Everything that we see from here on out will be adult Jesus, but at this point, we get to see teenage Jesus or pre-teenage Jesus. So as this story lingers in you, think about phrases or thoughts that come, which is how I kind of approach text now. What is it that captures me? What are the phrases, the thoughts that come? And what I'd like to do is share some of those with you, but you have your own as well, because that's the purpose of ornaments. The purpose of ornaments are to hold you and remind you and help you be centered on what is going on in you in regards to this. So, if indeed Jesus was 12 years old and he's already moved to that second level of education, where he is learning that fine art of asking questions to get down deeper into the truth of things, Jesus sitting in the temple with the elders, he just completely forgot what time it was. He was an absent-minded teenager. This was not rebellion on his part, as some teenagers are wont to do, but he was just simply, he was so caught up in the moment of having these theological and biblical conversations. He just simply forgot what time it was. In modern language, this was Disneyland for him. He absolutely loved being in this setting. Now, there's much speculation about what happened after this time for the next 18 years. Some say he came to America. I have no idea. Or went to England. Or, the text says he went home. He went back to Nazareth. And he was with his mother and father. He was obedient to them. And he grew in deeper understanding of scriptures and of God and God's work in his life. And I think that he continued in his rabbinical training, probably became a disciple of a rabbi and began to develop even deeper understanding of what God was doing inside. It is a beautiful example of Jesus growing and learning himself. Indeed, Jesus was not just born and smart all at one time. He also grew, and he had to learn. He learned much, and we find texts in the scriptures where he still is learning things, moving among us. So that's where this text holds me. And so I have one final ornament to hang out there for you in the mosaic, which ultimately is designed to, where does Jesus show up? Where does the invisible become incarnate in our lives? In 2003, Leslie and I were at a wedding at a Marriott hotel in Southern California outside of Los Angeles. I was performing the wedding, and we had invited, we didn't invite, the groom and bride had invited a gathering of people that knew very little about church or even weddings for that matter. They were there for the reception. And it was windy. It was an outdoor wedding, very windy and cold, and it was a very curious kind of situation. And the wind had blown the candles out. They had lit candles up, and the wind blew it out. It was just, everything was falling apart. And even the bride and groom were not too much into the vows and the whole service. It was like, let's get on with the party. And so we completed. They made their vows. I'm not sure if they're still married yet today, but we left the area where the wedding took place and went into the reception. And I was really dejected, and I said to Leslie, I don't even think that Jesus showed up here. Okay. I don't think that Jesus even showed up here today. And at that very moment, a waiter came up to me and offered hors d'oeuvres. And I thanked him, and I looked at his name tag. It was Jesus. And I thought, extraordinary. And of course it would be Jesus. And Jesus always shows up at weddings, even those weddings that the wedding party and everybody else just wants to party. Jesus was there. serving, loving, being present. Oh, it was extraordinary. And so I am always mindful, even in this day, that Jesus is incarnate in most unusual places and ways. If you only have eyes to see, if you can find, and you'll be surprised as you're open to this. And that's my prayer for you in these 12 days of Christmas. Oh, it's even my prayer for you for the entire year of 2025, that you would have these kind of living encounters with Jesus. You see, Jesus at the wedding is an ornament for me to remind me that God is present. God is here and always will be. What are your ornaments? What do you hold on to carry you through these days of life? To remind you of what life is truly about. That's the Christmas ornaments from the ghosts of Christmas past, and maybe some of the ghosts of Christmas present.